Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and today we are talking family. The people that have to die before any millennial can afford their own house. And the first place you'd look for partners if you're European royalty or Woody Allen. And specifically, we're looking at Calia Menethil, the last surviving heir of the Menethils of Lordaeron, possibly the most important family in the history of Warcraft. Now, of course, like in any famous family, there are the ones that we've all heard of, like Will and Jada, and Jaden at a pinch, to the lesser knowns like Willow, to the downright obscure like Trey. Trey's a DJ. Trey is awesome at clapping. And while Calia Menethil is no Trey Smith, she's certainly not the most famous of her line, even though at one point she was engaged to Deathwing, for fuck's sake, but more on that later. And in fairness, she's got some pretty stiff competition. Her father was Tyrannus Menethil, who reigned for 70 years. He founded the Alliance and defeated the Horde in the Second War. His is one of the most famous and iconic murders in the whole history of Warcraft. And of course that means that Calia's brother is Arthas himself, the fallen prince of Lordaeron, the Lich King, committer of the most famous and iconic murder, regicide and patricide in the whole history of Warcraft. But of course he also killed Ulthar, Kel'Thuzad, Antonidas, young Saurfang, Sylvanas, a bunch of other people who don't get names, you and your whole raid at the end of ICC, but even worse than that, Arthas broke Jaina Proudmoore's heart, the fucking monster. So all things considered, Calia comes from pretty famous stock, and it's no surprise that she's gone under the radar a bit, even though she was once engaged to Deathwing, especially as she's been missing, assumed dead since the fall of Lordaeron, which meant that not a single living heir to the Lost Kingdom of Lordaeron remained on Azeroth. Except, it turns out there is a living heir, because it turns out Calia is well and truly alive and a quest-giving NPC in World of Warcraft Legion. Now, apart from giving us a really tantalising in-game link with some of the most famous events and characters in Warcraft lore, her return also raises the question of where Calia has been all this time and what she might do next. Without getting ahead of ourselves here, Sylvanas might want to just double-check that Undercity defences are all on point, just in case, you know. So join us as we take a closer look at Calia Menethil, her history, her reappearance in Legion, and what might happen with her in the future. Okay? Go, 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 go. Now, of course, the problem with Warcraft lore is that it's basically like asking what Gamergate is. You thought you were asking just one simple little question, but it turns out that now everyone wants to tell you about a whole ton of shit that you didn't ask for, you don't really want to know, and which, frankly, is a little bit scary. And that's exactly the case with Calia. She has so many connections with super famous, super important lore characters that it would take literally whole novels and a series of games to properly explain the context of her early life. Luckily, those whole novels and series of games exist, so here we're just going to try and stay on track. Calia is the oldest child of Lian and Tyrannus Menethil, who, as I mentioned earlier, founded the Alliance. He's the one that tells Medivh to get lost in the opening of Warcraft 3, and later gets murdered by his second child, Arthas, at the end of the Frozen Throne. Calia is meant to be a couple of years older than Arthas, which would put her at around 38 by the time of the Burning Crusade, which makes her about 48 now, and is described as delicately boned, with a face right out of old paintings, pale-skinned and soft. Her eyes were sea green like her brother's. Now, to be honest, despite being the firstborn of one of the mightiest of all human kings, she never really got up to much, and by that I mean she was engaged to Deathwing. Deathwing! Okay, so it's true, she didn't know she was engaged to Deathwing at the time, because he was disguised as Lord Daval Prestor, one of King Tyrannus' most trusted advisors. But she didn't want to marry Prestor anyway when she thought he was human. Can you imagine how upset she'd have been when it turned out she'd married motherfucking Deathwing? It would have been like when Rudy Giuliani thought he was being perfectly normal by marrying his third cousin, when actually he'd accidentally gone and married his second cousin, which is just weird. Calia confides to her brother in the novel Arthas, Rise of the Lich King, that she was being forced into marriage by her father and encourages him to marry for love. She also participated in the ceremony that saw Arthas become a member of the Silver Hand Paladins in Stormwind. And that, apart from fishing out her coin in the Dalaran Fountain in Wrath of the Lich King, was the last we ever heard of Calia. Like Brendan Fraser, she just disappeared. In that same novel, as Arthas is escaping the ruins of Lordaeron, he remembers that everyone he knew, including Calia, is gone. Gone, but not forgotten, it would seem, because there have been a few false sightings of Calia in-game since. Some people got really excited when they found an NPC in Theramore called Calia Hastings. Could this be the famous daughter of Lordaeron going under an assumed name and working for SI7? Could Calia Menethil of Lordaeron really be alive? Well, no, not alive actually, as it turns out. Sorry, Theramore. And not our Calia either, because Legion sees Calia make an official return to the game as part of the Priest Artifact and Order Hall campaigns, before becoming an Order Hall follower, and so unexpected is her return to Warcraft, and it really does come out of nowhere. I didn't even notice who she was until my friend Shadowclaw pointed out to me that all this time I'd been sending the rightful heir of Lordaeron on missions to clear Murlocs out of Shipwreck Cove, which I'll be honest was a bit embarrassing really, especially as Calia is no slouch these days either. Somewhere between Warcraft 3 and now, she has become a priest, and judging by her gear, I'd say sometime around Cataclysm. And not just any old priest either, but a proper badass discipline priest, which is the class that all of the very best players of Warcraft play. And everyone knows that, it's just a scientific fact and you can't argue with science. Unless you're Myra Nebel and you're in charge of the Environmental Protection Agency, obviously. And she also appears to be working under the tutelage of Alonsus Fowl. And look, before you say anything, okay, there's only two ways I can think of to actually pronounce that name. One is Fowl, the other is Fail. Either way, it's not great for Alonsus. I'm going for Fowl. And remember we mentioned how sidetracked we could get here? Yeah, well, for that reason, we're not going to talk much about Fowl, except that he too is awesome. He inducted Arthas into the Silver Hand, used to hang out in Northshire Abbey, and raised the money to rebuild Stormwind after the Second War. Just your everyday shit, really. But back to Calia. Now, at the beginning of the Priest Artifact quest, we are sent to meet a contact at Fowl's grave, Fowl's Rest in Tirisfal, just outside Lordaeron. And who do we meet there? Well, Calia, obviously that's what this video is about. Keep up. Oh my goodness, Calia, this is amazing. We thought you were dead. How did you escape the Scourge invasion of Lordaeron?
I once hid in a muddy ditch for 2 days while slavering ghouls patrolled the area.
Well, yes, that would explain it, I guess. Well done. Oh, it's so great to meet you finally. Do you know, you've always been one of my absolute favourite lore characters.
Your prattle does not faze me. Tyrannus would have had you thrown out of here faster than he did Medivh.
Alright, Calia, I know you've been through a lot, okay, but there's no need to be a dick about it. And most of our time as a priest is taken up with Alonsus, but Calia is there when we enter Netherlight Temple, and again when we defend the Exodar, and you can click on her anytime you like to relive the good old days.
Sometimes I miss the beautiful court of Lordaeron, and my father.
But the very fact that she's been put back into the game with very little fanfare, and at this exact time, makes you think, what have Blizzard got planned for Calia next? Because in my opinion, Calia is too big a deal to have just hanging around an order hall completely unused. It'd be like having someone like Vanessa Van Cleef just sitting around in an order hall doing... Oh, okay, forget I said that. Okay, it would be like having Thorim just sitting around in a... Oh, fuck. Okay, these aren't great examples, are they? But although Calia herself says...
It's just Calia now.
I can't believe that she's really happy to see her family home and rightful kingdom being overrun by Sylvanas and the Forsaken. And with Sylvanas having more to worry about than usual these days, what with being the new leader of the Horde and everything, might now, or the near future, be a good time for Calia to strike back. Maybe Kalia's old friend Jaina has been off raising an army specifically for that reason. Maybe that's where Jaina has been. It would certainly suit Jaina's purposes to destroy the Horde leader's home. And whatever happens, I think it would be a massive waste if such an intriguing character with so much connection to lore and a witness to so much history was brought back into the game just to make up the numbers and with no plan to use her further. I wouldn't be surprised, mind you, but it would be a waste. So come on, Blizz, the rightful heir to the fallen kingdom of Lordaeron has just rocked up, and she's a badass now. Let's give her some proper badass stuff to do, and let's start with Lordaeron. Thanks for watching the video today, and thanks to Shadowclaw for suggesting that I make the video in the first place. If you liked the video, you can like it if you like, and if you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. And remember, my name is Signs of Kalani. No, my name is Taliesin of Taliesin and Evertel. Oh, look, here's our new outro. Hello, Internet, it's Taliesin and Evertel here. Just to remind you that you can join us on Twitter at Taliesin Evertel and on Twitch as well, Taliesin and Evertel. It's brilliant. You can watch us stream like all the time. We're always streaming. It's very, very regular. You're always streaming, aren't you, Evertel? She never ever stops. You can watch more of our videos on the screen now. It's like magic. You just click on it and it takes you there. It's fantastic. And click on our logo to subscribe. If you subscribe, then I promise we will make more videos. An extra big special thank you as always to our patrons. They give their actual real life money every month to help this channel happen. Without you guys, these videos would be a lot rarer. Thank you so much. Our patrons get special videos as well, all to themselves. It's pretty cool. Maybe you should check it out. But thank you for joining us once again. From me and Evertel, thank you and cheerio. It's not really Evertel. She's ill. She's in bed. This is just a picture. It's not really her. You wouldn't want to see her. She's very snotty and moany, demanding. You wouldn't like it. She looks really bad, actually. It's actually really ugly, like really, really terrible. She wouldn't thank me for being on screen. This is better. Just trust me, okay?